Hi, welcome back to the Girl Pal Galaxy. I'm Maria. Let's rank books. Final of the day, Beach Boys, Sound of Summer compilation, because if there's one thing my sisters love more than writing, it's the Beach Boys. So if you didn't know, myself and my two sisters, Grace and Joy, originally started this channel as like three of us filming videos together. Didn't last very long, but we have a collective that we call the Girl Power Galaxy, and essentially it's where all of the books that we've written exist. All three of us are writers. We've been writing for years now. I personally have been writing for 6 years. I think Grace started us out 7 years ago. But we came up with this idea of this universe, kind of like the Marvel universe, of like where all of our characters exist in the same area, and we call it the Girl Power Galaxy, which is why it's the title of this channel. Together, between the three of us, we've written 23 books, and so I thought it'd be fun to rank them today. I love watching ranking videos on YouTube. I don't know why, I just think it's great. But I thought, hey, I have a lot of Girl Power Galaxy books. Let's rank them. A quick history about us first is that Grace actually kind of started us down this writing trajectory. We had a friend who was going away on his Mormon mission, and she decided to send him like essentially like a spy novel that he was the main character of, that he was the protagonist of, as he was going on like a mission. Joy joined in, and having fully diagnosed little sister syndrome, I was like, well, I can't be left out. So then I joined in as well. So for our ranking for the top tier, what we've got is Golden. And this is like creme de la creme. This is like our best work. Like each of us has like the one that we're most proud of, like the best that we've done. And this is where those books go. The next tier is called Get It Girl. And and this is for the very like girl power, very empowering, very like cliche breaking books that are just super fun, super engaging, strong female characters, which we always love to write. This is where those books go. The next category we have is Such Fun, which is just for the books that are a fun idea, they're a fun ride, they're a fun read, and they're all around an enjoyable experience. So our fourth tier is a very niche tier, as you will come to see, and it's called Couldn't Finish This Book Because I Was Crying Too Hard. There are only a few that go in here, but they are very specific, and they're also very specific to my experience reading these books. But I literally could not finish these books because I was crying. They made me too emotional, too upset, and so those are where these books are going. And our last tier is called A+ for effort, because hey, we sat down, we wrote something, it got done, it was finished, it exists, and you deserve credit for that. By the way, all these books, most of these books, are available on our collective Wattpads. They will be linked down in the description, and you can go read them. If any of these sound interesting to you, I will be providing kind of a quick summary for these books. Alright, well, let's rank. Okay, so the first book that we have is called Beyond the Barrier, is by my sister Joy Jenkins. Fun little story behind this book. It is actually my story originally. It was my idea. I had this idea of like, I would personally go to Costco if there was a zombie apocalypse, and then that kind of blossomed into like this whole universe of like a zombie apocalypse that's taken over, and this like collective of people that's established a community inside of a Costco. That's the basis of this story. It is called Beyond the Barrier. Personally, I would have called it Costco Zombie Love Story. And we're gonna put this one in Such Fun because it's a good ride, it's a fun story. Joy brings in a lot of twists and turns. She kind of took it further than I would have ever thought to, and I appreciate that she took my idea and really ran with it and made it her own, because she did a fantastic job. So this one goes under Such Fun. Okay, we have our first niche book, and I was not lying about this category. The next book is 3 Weeks by my sister Grace, and when I tell you that I was reading it and sobbing, I'm not lying. I literally had to call her on the phone while I was reading and just be like, I'm so sorry, I can't finish your book, it's too sad, I just can't do it. And she was like, yeah, I totally understand, don't worry about it. It is such a fun ride though, and it is such a good book. The characters are so strong. Kit is the main character. Kit is such a fascinating character. So 3 Weeks is about a girl named Kit who comes to a small southern town and kind of shakes everything up. She befriends like this local football star who's recovering from a major injury, and it's kind of their relationship and how that progresses. So like I said, this book is gonna go in Couldn't Finish This Book Because I Was Crying Too Hard tier. Okay, we have our first golden book. What we have is Mr. Right by Joy Jenkins. I love this book. It helps that it's like semi-based on my life and people I know and that I grew up with and that I love very dearly. And that the whole cast of characters is just so full and rich and funny. It's just a funny, funny book. This is my personal favorite of Joy's. So this one is going in golden tier. This book is about an author named Elliot Mackenzie. She's got a sister named Cece, who actually we'll be mentioning later on, and she's a writer as well. She's got a brother, Tristan, who's a choreographer, and it's about her learning to collaborate with this other writer and kind of how their relationship progresses. It's also about this rich cast of characters that she has around her, her family, her friends, her community, and how she finally works through some serious deep-rooted insecurities she's had her whole career and how she really comes to like thrive and find her voice and find her confidence. So that's Mr. Right by Joy. Golden book. Top tier book. Okay, next we have A Secret Service, which is the most well-known book of the Girl Power Galaxy. If you didn't know, it's got 20 million reads on Wattpad. Joy has self-published this book. This is a great book. This has been her hit across all platforms. People love this book. People are obsessed with this book. I love this book. I think it's great. I might have a personal bias because she did base Carter off of me. That's like my one brag. That's like my one thing that I can brag about in my life. A Secret Service is about a girl named Carter Owens who goes to a private school with a whole bunch of senators' kids, the president's son, and kind of the adventures that ensue from there. This book, we're going to put it in Get It Girl because Carter's very strong. She's very stubborn, but she's very much herself. She doesn't really go by anyone's rules, and she's very smart. She's very capable. She does care very deeply as well. And all of these kind of get her in trouble sometimes, but she's a very strong, empowering young female character. I think when I was in high school, I would have loved to have read a book like this. To be like, oh, look, this is how you can be. This is how you can act. You know, you don't really have to go by anyone's rules. You can really kind of follow your own drum. And Carter does a great job portraying that. Okay, the next book that we have is Nothing Super. Again, another one of Joy's. She's written the most out of all of us. So these are mainly all Joy's, but it's not too bad. Not too uneven. So the next one is Nothing Super by Joy Jenkins. This one we're going to put in the Get It Girl category. Taylor is fantastic. She's snarky, she's exhausted, she's a realistic portrayal of what it would be like if a teenage girl in high school suddenly got superpowers. I think we've gotten a lot of portrayals of like very strong female superheroes, which I think is great, but none of them are super realistic, and I think this is a very realistic view of how stressful teenage life can be, and then all of a sudden you have this supernatural ability and your life takes just such a crazy turn that you didn't expect. And so Joy does a really good job with that in Nothing Super, so that's going to go in the Get It Girl tier. Okay, and we've got another golden book. So this one is called A Pirate's Tale by Joy Jenkins. It's part of a trilogy. It's the second one in the series. They're standalone, but they're part of like the same universe. This main character, Isla, man, she is just kick butt. She runs a pirate crew, like a pirate ship, which is so cool. It has Rafe, who's from A Vagabond's Tale. He's a great character. Joy has said that this is her top tier writing. She's never written as beautifully as she has in this book, and I just feel like because of how much she poured into this book, Isla deserves golden tier for sure. And for our next book, we have the first one of mine. We have Pomp and Circumstance. I wrote that this year. It is an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. It is, I think, the book I am most proud of, so we're going to put it in golden. The way that I was able to adapt the movie, the book, it still doesn't really register in my brain how I was able to do that, how it felt so organic. To not only switch genders, but to switch perspectives, and then to put it in a modern high school setting. It's so many changes, but it just feels like it works. I also love this book because I was really able to be vulnerable about stuff that I've struggled with on my own. Like as far as what Darcy goes through is a lot of stuff that I went through when I was in high school. It's been fun to really kind of learn from that and to use it as inspiration for this story. And so, Pomp and Circumstance, you're going golden tier. Alright, next we have A Vagabond's Tale, and this one is by Joy. This stars Gigi, and she is a kind of wanderer. She's like, her and her family are like a traveling troupe, and they go from place to place. This is part of the Pirate's Tale universe. This is the first out of the 3. And Gigi's mother is a noble, and Gigi has grown up listening to these stories of what fancy life is like, what life in the palace is like, and so she decides to go and live that life. And it's all about kind of like how she just finds herself kind of fish out of water, and how she grows from that, how she learns to really appreciate what she does have. And so this one I'm going to put in such fun. It's a really fun ride. It's a really fun read. It's kind of like Little Mermaid in a little bit of a way, I think is the way Joy's described it before. So this goes in such fun. It's just a good read, good ride. Alright, now we have another one of mine. This one is called The Holiday Inn. This is the first out of my 3 holiday romance books that are on this list. I wrote this in 2019. I love this book. I was watching Gilmore Girls the other day and I realized how much I stole from Gilmore Girls, but it is about a young woman named Anya who runs this very nice inn up in Vermont, and how an old boyfriend from college, an old friend from school all come back at the same weekend, and kind of like her having to work through her feelings. I'm gonna put this one in Get It Girl. It is my personal favorite out of all of my holiday books. I don't know why. I think the main love interest, Manny, is just one of my favorite love interests that I've ever written, but we're gonna do it in Get It Girl. Anya is very hardworking, she's very headstrong, but she's still vulnerable and she's still flawed, and I'm really proud of how this one came out, so we're gonna do Get It Girl for Holiday Inn. Okay, next one is another one of mine. It's called 5 Years of Fame. Man, when I say that this one is a labor of love, I worked on this book for, no joke, 10 years. This book was 10 years in the making, and when I finally sat down to write the final version, it came so fast in only 6 months, but it was so much work. It was so many notes, it was so many thinking and dreamscaping and planning out, and it's very complicated. So what it is 5 Years of Fame is a story that follows a singer-songwriter from when she's discovered in her hometown of Boston all the way through when she leaves the music industry, and it's 5 years in time, hence the name. And I'm gonna put it in such fun. To me, this book isn't fully complete. I think there was more that I wish I could have done with it, but I hit a point of saturation where I just knew I needed to finish my journey with this book, and I needed to kind of move on and like let her be done. She is, and I'm glad, and I'm proud of how it turned out. I'm not the most proud of it as a whole. It ranks probably like 4 out of my 7 books, but it's done. I am proud that I did finally write it. And so we're going to put in such fun. It is a fun ride. There's multiple timelines, and there's intrigue, and there's drama, and there's heartbreak, and so such fun it goes. Okay, this one might seem a little like of a shocker of why it would go in this tier, but the next one we have is Holding Back by Joy Jenkins, and this one is going into the couldn't finish it because I was crying too hard category. That might sound a little strange, but the way Joy wrote the main character Haley just hit a little bit too close to home of how I used to be, how I was in high school. And I just remember reading the first couple of chapters just being like, I feel called out, I feel exposed, I do not want to read this book. And I know it's a great story, she's told me all about it, it's just fantastic, but I could not read this book because it would cut a little too close to home. So Haley, you're going into couldn't finish this because I was crying too hard. And another one for the same tier. Wow, okay. Next one is called Holidays in Hollyoaks. This one is by Grace. This is her first Christmas novella. I love this book, and it is so good. It is so cute. It is so quaint. It is about a young girl who runs a music shop in a small town in Connecticut and has a father that she's also caretaking for at the same time. And I couldn't finish this book because I got to a certain point and it cut too close to home. I've experienced caretaking a loved one. I've experienced chronic illness personally and with people that I love, and it cut a little too close. I was like, this is a little too realistic for me, and it makes me just emotional thinking about it, really. So that's where Holidays in Hollyoaks is going. Okay, we have a first bottom tier book. I'm glad it's mine. I am. I'm really glad that if I'm going to put a book in the bottom tier, it's mine. So, like, we can set that precedent. So, our bottom tier, A+ for effort, we're going to be putting my first Christmas novella, Home for Christmas, in this bottom tier, and I'm okay with that. I really am. I watched a Christmas movie, like a Christmas romance in 2018. It was terrible. Didn't like it. Thought it was a dumb movie. But I was like, hey, I could do better than that. I can write that. And so I did. I sat down. I wrote it. It's not my favorite. I didn't take myself super seriously, and I did with The Holiday Inn, which was the next year's Christmas novella, but it still exists, and I'm proud of that. It's not my favorite, so A+ for effort is where you're going. I'm sorry. By the way, it's about a young girl who, after takes a gap year off of high school, goes traveling for a while, and is coming back to her hometown for the first time in a year and a half. Okay, we've got another golden tier, and Grace would hate me for saying this, but I think it's golden tier. We have A Second Chance by Grace Jenkins. I love this book. I love the characters. I love the community. The whole cast is wonderful. She did such a good job. The story is so moving. The story is so compelling. A Second Chance is about a young girl, to propel her music career forward, enters into a fake relationship with this very well-known singer who's trying to repair his reputation, and it's getting to know him, it's getting to know his family. It's a very slow burn, and it's a very much fake relationship to real relationship, but it's so worth it, and it's so good, and the way she wrote it was just excellent. I thought it was great. She did such a good job. Golden tier for sure. Okay, next we have Cece writes a book. Such a fun idea. This is going in such fun. It's so funny to see. Like I said, we're a galaxy, we're a universe, so we take different characters. Joy originally wrote Cece, who is the sister to Elliot from Mr. Right, and Grace took Cece and made her her own and created her own story, kind of like a prequel. And she did a fantastic job. There are little passages of Cece's writing as just being a writer, and that's really fun. She's very dramatic, she's very sassy, she's kind of oblivious, but it's such a fun concept of like seeing a side character really get their own chance to shine. And so Cece, you're going in such a fun ride. And the next one we have is another one by Grace. It's called It Happened One Night, and this is in Get It Girl. This is Die Hard. Like, that's the only way to put it, and Grace did such a good job rewriting Die Hard as fast-paced, exciting, thrilling, great, like a great couple characters to lead the story, and you kind of get to watch their relationship progress over the night from kind of like very antagonistic to a couple, and it's fantastic. She did a good job. This is in Get It Girl because this is a great story. Okay, so the next book. This is an A+ for effort. This is Undercover. This is Joy, one of Joy's very, very first ones. It's a spy book, and it is what it is, you know? She has qualms about it. She doesn't like it that much, but you know, she wrote it. She grew from it. A+ for effort, Joy. And the next bottom tier. Honestly, each one of us had one of these. I have 2 of these bottom tier books. The next one of these is called Celebrity Cruise, and this is by Grace. And again, one of her first books. It's a really fun read, and it's a great, again, Grace does a great job with such a large cast of characters. But you know, it's not a second chance. And again, we have another A+ for effort. But again, it's not to be like derogatory, like these are all great books. These are all fantastic stories. So we've got Every Second. This is by Joy Jenkins. This is her official first book. And she just got to write and have fun and learn to write. And nothing much happens in the story, but they're great characters. It's a fun setting. It's a fun idea. But A+ for effort. And our next one is called Holidays in the Hamptons. This was my Christmas story from last year. I love this story. I think it's great. I got to explore a lot of very intricate family dynamics that was super interesting, and kind of pressures that people face just by being born into a certain type of family. It's about this girl named Marley who goes to visit her very wealthy grandmother in the Hamptons for the first time during Christmas, and kind of the people she meets, the people she experiences, and just things she finds out about herself along the way. This is going in Get It Girl. I love this story. Marley's a great character. Her sisters are great characters. And I'm really proud of how this one came out. Our next book is called Go Home, Anne-Marie. This is my first book. It is a mess. It's not on Wattpad for a very good reason, because it's just all over the place. But I do get an A+ for effort, because I decided in 2015 that I was going to sit down and I was going to write a book, and I did, and that's Go Home, Anne-Marie. And without her, I wouldn't have written Pomp and Circumstance or any of my other books. And so I'm grateful for the experience, but A+ for effort. And our last book we'll be reading is called I'll See You Soon. This is mine as well. It is about a couple, and it's just short snippets, stories of their life, their relationship, how they meet, how they deal with being long distance. The female character is a college student and then a music reporter, and her love interest is a drummer in a band. And so they spend a lot of their relationship apart. They spend a lot of their relationship trying to meet up in random places and just to be able to see each other. And it was a really fun experiment, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I'll See You Soon is going in such fun. Okay, well that was it. We made it through. Somehow that felt a little bit like a beast of a project to do, but we did it. So that was awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would love to know what you guys thought, whether or not you thought a Secret Service should be a golden tier or such fun, all that sort of stuff. Love to hear it. Anything in the comments you want to say. If you just are a big fan of the Beach Boys, you can put that down too. All the books will be linked in the description. Our profiles to Wattpad will be linked in the description. You can find most of these books there. So if you want to go read them, if any of them were intriguing, they're free. You can go read them right now. So thanks for watching. Subscribe, like the video, whatever you want to do. I'll see you guys later.